Namasri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suray Sachit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapahami. The subject for today's discussion, you have seen on the screen, is man, the ultimate mystery. Man here, human being. Don't ask me man or woman. The human being. Today we all know existential issues are bothering people. Loneliness, meaninglessness. What is the purpose of life, objective of life? All these questions people are asking. Young people are asking, school kids are asking. Many young people, they don't want to marry, they don't want to have children. They have this question, what is life? If you tell them actually you have to seek God, why should I seek God, they are asking. If you tell them actually you seek the truth, what is truth, why should I seek it? Again they are asking the question. If you tell them know thyself, again, why should I know myself? Do I know myself? Do I not know myself? So they are putting the questions, like these questions, they are there, but they don't just get convinced. Seek God, seek truth, know thyself. We think we know ourselves, but we don't really know. The more you look into yourself, the more you understand that this small piece of life is not a simple thing. The more you study it, the more it engages you. So how are we to understand our own mystery? It is easy to study the objective world, but it is difficult to study the subject. That is how we are constituted. Focusing on the things external, on the objective world, is much easy than to turn inward and study our own selves. So what will I get if I study myself? What am I? I am body and mind. Mind I understand as thought, body I understand as aggregate of parts. If you really want to know yourself, means study the body as anatomy. If you want to know the mind, it's thought, positive thought and negative thought, the complexities of thought. That is myself, what else I am. But there is something more fundamental than these two. So body is an aggregate of parts. When we are born, we are just 2.5 or 3 kg. When you eat food slowly, the body becomes this big. It's an accumulation of food in a way. Mind is thought. When we are born, we had one kind of thought. Slowly the thought also evolves, it keeps changing. It's also not permanent, but it is thought. It's an accumulation of thought, different kinds of ideas, beliefs, opinions. They all together, make our mind. We think we are just these two. These are all, accumulations. Over a period of time, we gather them. There should be something more fundamental around which actually we gather these two. So accumulate something to gather around what? What is that around which these two are gathered? So that is soul, that is consciousness. But I don't perceive it. Yes, you don't perceive it because it is so subtle, but yet so powerful. We have discussed this here. That which is subtle tends to become very powerful. This way, describing the Atman, Upanishad says, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan, smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. Very difficult to conceive. No lower dimension, no upper dimension. It's a dimension less. But our mind is such, it can understand things only that are in 3 dimensions, right? The physical universe, 3 dimensions. It can understand only that. Suppose you say that there is no dimension, that's why it is infinite. It's beyond time and space. Mind struggles, mind finds it difficult to understand this. So that's the reason this is a barrier. We find it difficult to cross. So that's why in our culture it is insisted in the beginning you need to have faith. With faith you begin, you do sadhana. Slowly, slowly a little awakening happens. So there is something more fundamental than these two. So that is not in my experience as yet. But that is the truth on which actually these two rest. That is the substratum on which the body and mind rest and function. When you understand that and then you make an effort to bring that into your experience. As you proceed with your sadhana, slowly, a little awakening may take place. And afterwards, nobody else need to tell you. So be on, your sadhana and do sadhana more. Try to get the experience of truth. No. Now you have had a faint glimmer of it, a glimpse of it. A little awakening you felt. And you don't have to read anything thereafter, in fact. You will be engaged only in sadhana because you want to get it. You want to have the full experience of it. The problem with most of the people is this. First of all, does it really exist? Is it worth investing this much of time and effort for that? So here we don't have any option except believing the people who have had the experience. We had the experience in the past, we have to believe them. All the mystics, sages, spiritually illumined souls, whom we respect and revere as perfected human beings. In this culture, many times we have discussed this point here, though we don't ourselves understand the experience of these mystics, spiritually illumined souls, we have appreciated them. We have understood at least this much vaguely, that these people have transcended the mind and touched a dimension that actually exists beyond mind. And that's why they have made themselves immortal. They have attained perfection. That's why they are spiritually illumined souls. That is the ultimate goal of life. We understand that. That's why we build temples for them. We take their teaching seriously. We read their biographies. This is the only culture where such spiritually illumined souls are respected, revered, encouraged, understood. There is no other culture on the planet Earth which respects such, spiritually enlightened souls and understands them. So we have, intuitively, everybody has this understanding that what is the ultimate goal and purpose of life? To transcend the senses, to transcend the mind. Today, if you look at the world, we have, Swamiji told this, 130 years back when he saw America that day, so much of technology. For everything there is a machine in those days. Compared to the machines that we have today, 130 years back, America had, in those days also, it was a developed country. But compared to India, when Swamiji went there, when he saw these many machines, he was surprised to see. And Swamiji remarked, these people are making the 5 elements dance to their tune. That means the external world, the physical world, so much actually they have manipulated and so many machines they have created and so much of comfort and luxury that society created that surprised Swamiji. So that made him make this remark, they are making the 5 elements dance to their tune. But in India, we never bother to make these 5 elements dance to or tune because we always have focused on the senses, 5 senses. You are making the 5 elements dance to your tune, but you have been trapped by these 5 senses. 5 elements, fine. You could handle them comfortably. But how comfortable you are handling the 5 senses. But 5 senses are making us dance to their tune. We are making the 5 elements dance to our tune. The 5 senses are making us dance to their tune. Now this sense slavery is absolute all across the world. Even in India, if you just tell people that do tapas, practice austerities, people are finding it difficult even to digest it. The idea itself. But this is tapo bhumi, right? Only through tapas you will be able to transcend the mind. You will be able to transcend the senses. You will understand the infinite. You will get a peep into the absolute. You will understand the mystery of the universe. Only through tapas. The 5 senses you must transcend. That is not easy. The Lord Himself said, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param društva nivartate. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah. From an abstinent soul, the senses fall away, but not the taste for them. But after realizing the truth, after experiencing the Purusha consciousness, the taste also will fall away. Rasavarjam rasopyasya param društva nivartate. Only after seeing the Purusha, experiencing the spirit as spirit, the taste, the craving also will go away for the senses. Till then, mind is made up of the senses, the body is made up of the senses. We are made up of the desire, that's all. Sans desire, no body. Then where are you? You are in consciousness. You are in God. The body is only made because of desire. And so the senses are rooted in the desire. The mind is rooted in the desire. You have gone beyond the desire means you have gone beyond the senses. You have touched the consciousness, the absolute. But again, as the Lord says there, Yatatopi havikanteya purushasya vipaschitaha. Even those people who are sincerely striving, purushasya vipaschitaha has the discernment. The problem, indriyani pramateni haranti prasavam manaha. These senses violently drag away the mind. Even in case of people who are striving sincerely on the path of spirituality. So that is actually the danger, he says. You need to be very alert. We have discussed this point here. It's like injuring a tiger. It's like controlling the mind. When you make an attempt, you understand how difficult it is. Most of the people, as they don't even make an attempt, they are safe. But now actually you have injured a tiger. You have to be very alert. See, you can't tame a tiger, you can't domesticate a tiger easily. It's not possible. Tiger is a wild animal. But there are people who have even tamed a tiger, a domesticated tiger. You bring a tiger cub, then keep on feeding it. Okay, you are safe. The tiger is with you when he is grown up. Now it's your master. It doesn't harm you. There are people, right, who have domesticated tigers also. They have brought it when it was cub. Otherwise it would not be possible. But again there, I have to be alert all the time. Because we don't know, tiger has its tiger nature. But otherwise you have brought the tiger from jungle. Can you tame the tiger? Not possible. You have injured a tiger in the jungle. You can't tame it. You can't even dream of taming it. Okay? The only option left for you is to kill it. Okay? The only option left for you is to kill it to save yourself. Same is the case with the mind. When you are on the spiritual path, when you make an attempt to control it or to conquer it, to attain nirvana, you have injured the tiger and now you need to be very alert. You have no option. Now you have touched it. You have to kill it. That killing of the mind is nirvana. Cessation of desire. Cessation of craving. But you can't be, okay, you have touched it, you have wounded it or injured it. You made an attempt to conquer it and now you relax. No. It will pounce upon you and it will devour you. If you don't show that kind of alertness that is required on the spiritual path, it will pounce upon you and it will devour you. That's why Swami says the road to good is roughest and steepest in the world. No wonder many fail, no wonder few succeed. Many fail because of this. But it doesn't matter. Swami says again, make attempt once more. But know thyself. Conquer the lower nature. Conquer the mind. That's the goal. Have that will. Make an attempt. We may or may not succeed. What does it matter? We will become yoga brashtas at the most. As the Lord says, again you will be born in a better family. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe. In favorable circumstances you will be born. You will continue your sadhana, the next birth, the next birth, the next birth. Until in one birth you will realize the truth. You will become a Mukta Purusha. So it's very important to understand the nature of bondage if you really want to embark on the spiritual journey. As Shankaracharya says in Vivek Chudamani, that mumukshatva, desire for liberation. In a sadhana chatushtaya, the qualification that you need to have, a sadhaka, an aspirant need to have to become, to be eligible for Vedantic teachings, to study the teachings and to practice that. Mumukshatva actually is the last thing. Desire for liberation, desire for freedom, desire for mukti. The desire for mukti will come when you understand the nature of the bondage. I am bound. These senses are actually depriving me of my freedom. I have been enslaved. It doesn't befit, this kind of slavery doesn't befit me. I want to free myself. When you intuitively sense that freedom, that this is bondage, and beyond this bondage lies that freedom, we may not understand what that freedom is now, but it doesn't matter. We have understood the nature of the bondage. The senses, they are not giving me true happiness, true joy. Mind will never give you true happiness and true joy. As long as there is mind, you cannot have steady joy. We will have moments of happiness in our lives. Definitely, we all have that. Not that it is constant misery all the time. Nobody will have only misery. It's a mixed. Sometimes our mind is in a very high state. We are happy, we are joyful, we are jovial. But is it possible for any human being to be always joyful and jovial from birth to death? No. In all the stages, is there a human being who doesn't suffer the sufferings of the world? No. There is no such situation. We just ask, don't ask a young man, maybe he has enjoyed only good times all these days. Ask a old man, somebody who is 80-year-old. Okay, only happiness you have had all through your life? Or do you have occasions to suffer? Definitely, everybody has a story, but everybody will say that, yes, I have had, much suffering in my life. Both will be there. But if you want to have only bliss, you have to transcend the mind. If you are a seeker after happiness, really ambitious. No, I want only happiness, to the exclusion of misery, to the exclusion of any kind of suffering. Our rishis and sages are very clear. Mind is made up of pairs of opposites. It brings both. Swamiji says, happiness presents itself before man, wearing the crown of sorrow on its head. So whoever invites happiness in this world, invariably, he or she is inviting misery also. So rishis have said, don't seek happiness here. Whatever the minimum happiness that you need to get, you will get it unasked and unsought. Then what we should strive for? Strive for liberation. Strive for mukti, strive for God, strive for truth. No ambiguity, no confusion. Simply, this is the instruction given to us. Where, we are aping other civilizations. We are aping civilizations which are still in the egg. This is our sorry state of affairs. Such a matured civilization, such an evolved civilization, this civilization, with such a great understanding of life. We have forgotten the teachings of our forefathers, no doubt. Here and there, small groups of people are seeking, because that is in the very nature of things. The other day, a gentleman came and he was telling, Swamiji, you have taken the right decision. What right decision? Oh, becoming sannyasi. Then I understood, Nature has, nature actually bet you blue and black. It is very clear. So then we understand. Nature will give us the blows. After blows, we understood probably. Earlier days, people used to say sannyasi means escapist. But now nobody is saying. They think twice before saying this. Maybe I think, he is right. At least everybody comes to the conclusion. Maybe I think his decision is right. Because life has become so complex for various reasons. Nobody says that actually you are unproductive, you are an escapist. Earlier they used to say, Swamiji's time, when he was wandering across this land of sages, people would understand, even Britishers and some of the aristocratic people of the country thought that because of the sannyasin only country was not progressing. There are so many sannyasins around, they don't contribute anything for the growth of the economy, because simply they move about like vagabonds, simply they beg their food. They have so much of energy. Even getting alms, bhiksha, sometimes would be difficult. They would scold, people would scold. Say, why can't you work? Why are you living a lazy life? Like lazy man, you are begging. You should work, you should do something, you must contribute something to the society and the country. But today nobody is saying that. Right? So that means people have understood that there is something more than this, humdrum of life where you just get yourself educated, you get a job, you get married, you have children. People have that observation. Your children, young people are observing how happy the people who are married, how happy the people with children. If they are not happy, is it worth taking that up? At least they are thinking. They may not immediately come out of that, but at least they are thinking. So that means the spiritual quest is on. So we have come to a particular stage in evolution where now people are seriously thinking about these existential issues. And they will pursue according to their capacity, according to their understanding, according to their circumstances. You will be forced to seek the truth. There is no other option. Every individual will be forced to seek the truth. That is in the very nature of things. That is in the very nature of things. The quest for truth is ingrained in every one of us. The circumstances are not allowing us, to be, on the journey full on. That is the problem. Other responsibilities hold us back. But the quest is there. Is that all? Is that all? Is that all? Is there. So this imprisonment of the soul is like, sometimes we get the doubt actually. Soul is eternally free. Consciousness is eternally free. How is it that it's bound? Yeah, it is just ultimately you can only say this. God actually has limited himself on his own accord. No other explanation actually will satisfy us. Ultimately, everything is God. Why that Supreme Spirit, which is absolutely free in absolute bliss, created this nature, created this Maya? What was the need? Why did he create? The explanation is only that his Leela, his play. His Leela, it is his play, no other explanation. That is the best explanation that our Rishis could have find, that's all. You can't ask the absolute because absolute is beyond all laws. When you put the question, why did God create the world? Actually, you are restricting him, you are limiting him. He is also answerable to somebody, he is answerable to me, you are saying. He is not answerable to anybody, that's what absolute means. He is beyond law. You and I are under law of causation. The whole creation is under the law. But when you talk about God, when you talk about the absolute, he is beyond law. So, law is only within the realm of the physical world. It is only in this world of name and form, in the mind. Beyond the mind, it is no law. That is the infinite. No law actually applies there. He is beyond all laws. That's why he is free. That's why he is the absolute. So, this is only his Leela and his play. We all say that actually. So, we are all instruments in his hands. Why he is playing with us? The only question that we need to put is, with whom he is playing? He is playing with himself. The Lord is not playing with you and me. He is playing with himself. The only thing that we have forgotten. Somehow, somewhere, you and I have come into this existence. No, you and I, it's only one. That's God. He is playing with himself. Our physical bodies, which are made up of 5 elements belong to him. So the body belongs to him. Mind, which is made up of 3 gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, 3 gunas are God's creation. They are evolutes of Prakriti. They have come from Purusha for consciousness. So there is only one source of this universe. There is only one creator. And bodies and minds are part of that creation. So these two also belong to that one creator. So one creator is playing with himself. No, you and I. But we have just taken up the epithet name. You have got one name, I have got one name. So you have become separate from me. It's a Prakriti. The differentiation is only in Prakriti. But Prakriti is not real. Not real in the sense Prakriti is impermanent, Prakriti is transient, Prakriti is dependent on consciousness. It can't exist on its own. Prakriti is only a projection. Today it is there, tomorrow it is not there. At the end of Kalpahanta, when the Lord withdraws, the world of name and form disappears. All this phenomenal universe disappears. It will be there in sleep for one kalpa. And again Lord projects it. It's a kind of cycle. He may or he may not project it. He may project it, he may not project it. He may choose to be in himself for a period of eternity. Let us say maybe millions and millions of kalpas. Again he might get the thought to create, to experience his own power. It all depends on his will. So the Prakriti doesn't exist on its own. It needs a substratum. That substratum is God. So this soul, let us come a step down. But the soul is imprisoned. Now we feel the bondage. Why this bondage? We have this question. It's like that. Sometimes politicians, when sometimes, they are under house arrest, we say. Sometimes when they want to do a dharna and, police will surround their own house. And they don't let them come out. Or they shift them to some place where they are under house arrest. It's not like normal prison. All the facilities will be there. Normal prison, actually, facilities will be given. You are a prisoner. But they are here under house arrest. All the facilities, everything is given. The only thing is, you cannot go out and move out. Security people will be there outside your gate. They don't let you go out. You stay in your house, perfectly fine. But when you come out and ask the security people, they will politely tell you, sir, you can't go out, sir. You are a VIP prisoner now. House arrest means they will not misbehave with you like normal prison, how police will treat you. No, they will not do that. They will politely say, sir, you are not permitted to go, sir. Right? The security people know that actually the VIP is under arrest, house arrest. Similarly, our soul is under house arrest by the senses. Okay, soul wants to come out. The Lord wants to come out. The senses will say, no, you are under house arrest. But the soul has to assert, just as this. Even if it's house arrest, they feel actually, suffocated. They want to come out. Other party people will protest here and there, protest against the decision of the government to put them under house arrest, right? So a lot of pressure will be built up. And ultimately, actually, the person also will come out, pushing the security aside. Like that, we all have to strive. The self must assert its supreme nature. The self must assert its freedom. I am free, I am not bound. I am free, I am not bound. Now only from the mind it comes. When you strengthen that will strongly, the nature of the bondage. What is the nature of the bondage? Identification with the mind and body. You just get out of that identification. You are established, self-established. So you have to assert your real nature. Swamiji would say again and again, you have to assert your freedom. It is only kind of forgetfulness that has happened. You have forgotten your real nature. Nirgacchati jagadjalat pinjaradiva kesarihi. Like a lion that is actually imprisoned in a cage made of bamboo poles, let us say. What the lion would do, it would come out roaring. Right? Like that, you must actually liberate the spirit from the clutches of senses, from the bondage that the mind and body imposes upon the self. It is only a fiction. According to Advaita Vedanta, it is only a superimposition. You just get rid of the superimposition. The self shines on its own. It is like the sun covered by a cloud. A cloud really cannot cover the sun. But when you observe from the earth, when you see, the sun actually you can't see because the cloud has blocked the sun. Can a cloud really block the sun? No, it's not possible. However big the cloud may be, because we are too small and observing the sun from the earth, it appears as if the cloud has blocked the sun, but the cloud can never block the sun. The sun is so big and so vast, and the cloud is so small. It is on this earth. But our experience is real. When you observe from the earth, from the ground, and you look at the sky is overcast and you don't see the sun. But we all know that actually this cloud is too small to block the sun. Like that, this mind and bondage are too small appendages to bind the soul. So this bondage is not real. This is only a fiction, our sages say. The only thing is you have to assert your real nature. The soul is asleep now. It is dormant. Uttishtata jagrata prapyavaran nibodhata, Swamiji said. Uttishtata jagrata. See that this soul is awakened. You awake, first go, that this is the goal. I am in bondage, realize that. And go to a spiritual master, spiritual preceptor, who has experienced the truth, who has known the truth, who can guide you on the path. And then embark on the journey and liberate yourself from the clutches of the senses. And that's actually, the freedom should be the goal. This bondage, it doesn't befit us. We are free actually. We are free, but only thing is temporarily this cloud has covered, the cloud of senses, this cloud of mind and body has covered that infinite sun. But this is not real. This is only a fiction. When you understand that, it becomes easy for us to progress on the spiritual path. Sri Ramakrishna used to talk about the Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. Right? Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. So, what is Avidya Maya? everything actually that binds us avidya maya. What is vidya maya? Kindness, compassion, selflessness, truthfulness, charity, righteousness, honesty, all these moral precepts, let us say, they all help us actually progress towards the truth. So maya has two aspects, he says, binding aspect and also it liberates also. Maya is actually prakriti. Prakriti actually only when mother agrees. When the mother agrees to liberate us, we will get liberated. Because Purusha is eternal Sakshi. Purusha says, I have nothing to do with this bondage, it doesn't exist in me at all. So Purusha, the bondage or the Maya, it doesn't really touch consciousness. Consciousness is ever perfect and eternally free. But we feel the bondage, we feel Maya. So there are lower aspect of Maya, you can say higher aspect of Maya. When you cultivate the higher aspect of Maya and deny the lower aspect, and you come closer to the truth, and when you totally deny the Maya, as Sri Ramakrishna says that, when a thorn actually stuck into your soul, what you do, you bring another thorn, and you remove the first thorn with the help of the second thorn, and afterwards you discard the both. Likewise, you have to discard both Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya, then you get established in soul or consciousness. So that's the actual journey we're all making. But if you just see, your Yoga Vasishta, Sri Rama says beautifully to Vasishta, Vikrita iva tishtamaha. So I just stand here, we just stand here as if we have sold ourselves. We have sold ourselves to what? To this senses. We have sold ourselves to the senses. The senses have imprisoned us. Prapancha rachanaihi mugda vana mrugha iva, he says. Fascinated by this world of name and form, just as actually animals enter into the trap laid by a hunter, I have entered into the trap laid by the senses. So the senses entangles me, they enslaved me. You can come out of that slavery, it all depends upon you. How intensely you feel this slavery, and that depends how intensely you long for freedom. But the nature of the mind is such, from ancient Rome, and slaves used to be there. Sometimes slaves used to escape from their masters. And the masters used to go in search of those slaves who have escaped. And when they bring them back, and they will treat them actually, in a very, very violent manner. They would give them more work, they would torture them more because they made an attempt to escape. Oh, nature of our mind is also like that. When you make an attempt to conquer it, to control it, it will torture us, it will trouble us in so many ways. But it is worth enduring all the trouble. It is worth enduring all the trouble. Mind will come in its wildest colors. To face the mind is not easy. That's why most people really don't embark on spiritual sadhana. When you stir it up, because it doesn't want to die that quickly, God will make you pass through test after test, test after test. The final test is, are you ready to die for the sake of truth? Swamiji says, those who are ready to hug the form of death, to them mother comes. That is the final test. And in fact, Sri Ramakrishna also was tested like that, right? How much he wept for mother, how much of sadhana he did. But mother did not come. She dodged and dodged and dodged. And ultimately he got exasperated, completely, exhausted. And then he said to mother, if you don't reveal yourself, I will chop off my head. And then about to take that sword, and then mother had revealed. That is the final test. You have to prove to the Lord that I have absolutely no attachment for this world. This world includes the body and mind. I don't need them. So that actually steady dispassion we have to cultivate. How that dispassion will come? Dispassion will come through discrimination. When you discriminate about the nature of the world and the nature of our experiences, everybody, some dispassion will come, some vairagya will come, renunciation will come. That is actually supreme position. That is a wealth in itself. Renunciation is the greatest wealth, according to our sages, because that will help you progress towards the truth. It will bring you closer to the Lord. That's why renunciation is the greatest. Tyage naiki amrutattva manushuhu. Through renunciation alone, you can have immortality. So it's not something to be frightened, but you need to be cultivated. And with great joy you must cultivate. And the greater the renunciation you get established in, and the greater the joy you should get. Our sages used to compete in this passion because that would help them to get to the truth. Not accumulation of things, but giving up even the identification with the body and mind. When that will happen? When you intuitively sense that by letting go of this identification, you will attain to that supreme and the infinite. Then only it becomes possible, right? Mind wants to hold on something. But when you cajole the mind and convince the mind, there is a higher thing that you can hold on to, that is the Supreme Spirit. Then it gets convinced, otherwise it will not let go its hold on this world, the world of senses. Because it doesn't have an existence of its own. The mind survives and sustains itself only through meditation or cogitation on the objects. Mananat, only through manana, through cogitation alone mind exists. So it has to meditate on the objects, it has to think about the objects. You just observe the mind, what it is doing, constantly thinking about the objects. What else it does? That's how actually derives its existence. You stop the mind from cogitating on objects, it doesn't exist. Sense object, it doesn't exist. It has no existence of its own. But now we think that it is accepted for us. Okay, that's okay to meditate on objects. No. Mind itself is not real. To meditate on objects actually is not the right thing. When you make the mind stop from meditating on objects, definitely it will attain nirvana. But we have taken for granted that this is the nature of the mind, this is how life continues. No. The present existence is very despicable and mean existence compared to the possibility that which we all have. From this tiny existence, body-mind existence, to that infinite existence is a giant leap, not ordinary leap. That is the problem, not many are prepared to take this leap. It just frightens them, that's all. But if you reflect carefully, you will develop deep dispassion. When you develop the deep dispassion, total disgust for this existence, in the sense that not in a negative way. Vedanta doesn't preach pessimism. Vedanta actually is a very realistic philosophy. Right? It doesn't sugarcoat things. Neither talks about pessimism or not talks about optimism. It is realistic and it's a statement of fact. This is how the nature is. This is how the world is. Realize it, know it. Be aware of it. That's what the Vedanta says. It is a statement of fact. This is a statement of fact. This bondage will not actually give you the real peace and happiness. You need to transcend the bondage. And to transcend the bondage, dispassion is required. Dispassion comes when you carefully reflect on the nature of things. But the reflection is missing with most of the people. When you get time, you get preoccupied. You have to do this, do that, move about, there about. No, you just reflect. Who am I? What am I? Why can't I get the absolute bliss? Why I have to look only for this little drops of joy? When you reflect on the nature of the things, you will understand the limitations of the present existence. When you realize the sense slavery under which we are belaboring, and when this sense slavery becomes too much for you to bear, then the desire for liberation arises. And when you cultivate it and strengthen it, the desire, your attachment and identification with the body will diminish proportionately. And slowly you will evolve in spiritual consciousness. When your dispassion becomes total, then nirvana will happen, just like Karatala Amalaka. Karatala Amalaka. Just like Amlaki fruit in your palm, you experience the truth. Holding an Amlaki fruit in palm is so easy. It is such a tangible thing. So tangibly and so vividly, you experience the truth. That's what our scriptures say. So seeking the truth actually is our birthright. Everybody must take this journey, and at least few steps we must take in that direction. Whatever it may be, wherever it may be, whatever may be your age, whatever may be your occupation. But knowing thyself, actually your birthright. I must know myself. If you don't know yourself, you may know the entire world, but it's not of any use. What is the use? I don't know myself. The confusion will persist. As long as this mind is there, the confusion will persist, doubts will persist, tensions will be there, anxieties will be there, stress will be there, something will be there. However, hard you might try to handle your mind to your advantage. Fundamentally, mind itself is a ghost. Yoga Vasishta repeatedly says this is the goblin. The language used is the goblin of mind. And within this small circle, we want to have the absolute. We want to have the highest bliss. Not possible. You have to cross this circle. across this circle created by the mind and the body. Beyond lies the truth, beyond lies the absolute. Only little courage is required and a discrimination. Everybody will develop this passion. You just reflect on the nature of things. Every day take some time off. What is this world? How much actually happiness and joy I expect from it? How much I get it? Why this disappointment? Why this gap, huge gap? Why don't I get what I really expect? Because people are afraid. If I grow in renunciation, I grow in dispassion, it might upset my normal routine kind of things. My job, my relationships, others might get worried, others might get tensed up. They are all hypothetical fears which mind creates. It doesn't want anybody to really seek the truth. But you must know that mind is treacherous and deceptive by nature. And you must not fall into its trap. It's already a trap. Every time you lay a trap and will ensure that you fall into that trap. That is its nature, because it's seeking the survival. It doesn't want to die. It is firmly established there. So it's as powerful as God in a way. That's why Lord says, Mama Maya Duratyaya. Difficult to overcome, but those who surrender to me, they will attain to this absolute. Maya is actually merciful God's merciless partner. It's God's partner. Where is Adhisthana? What is Adhisthana for Maya? God alone. Prakriti we say, Divine Mother we say. Maya is the Lord's consort. So when we talk about Shiva and Parvati, who is Parvati? Lord's divine consort. Only when she agrees to liberate his soul, it will happen. She will recommend that Jiva you liberate to her husband Shiva, Purusha, consciousness. Then liberation comes to that individual. So this ultimate Brahman consciousness, we have divided the Prakriti and Purusha, because Prakriti actually does things. Purusha doesn't do anything. Purusha is just the witness, eternal witness. Purusha alone exists. As we feel the Prakriti, we need to transcend the Prakriti. First we have to placate Prakriti. Mother must get pleased with us. Mother must shower her grace upon it. So the mind actually should agree. Mind actually should yield. So you casual, you pray, and then one day mind yields. Okay, I don't want to trouble you anymore. It just disappears. It drops on its own. For that you have to make both kinds of attempts. You have to pray to the Divine Mother and also Purusha. Both the things when you do simultaneously, when you transcend Prakriti. Otherwise, if you just pray to your chosen deity, oh Lord, help me to come out of this Prakriti. I find it too difficult to cross it, to make myself, get liberated from it. So you just help me. Depending upon the intensity of the prayer or the sadhana that you do, one day divine grace will come upon you for sure. Sri Ramakrishna says, take a few steps towards the Lord and he will take one step towards the Lord and 10 steps he will take towards. God is Alpa Santoshi. Even little sadhana in this Kali Yuga will immensely please him and will make us eligible for his divine grace. So I was just searching in the net actually, what is this Alpa Santoshi word? Is there an English equivalent word for this? Okay, I asked Google Guru. But when I pressed the Alpa and then gap with Santoshi, it says little Santoshi. I asked it translate into Telugu. I typed it and I wanted it to be translated into English. I thought actually an equivalent word, single word would come out of it. But it says little Santoshi. Alpa Santoshi, when I put, I gave a gap. It gave little Santoshi. Then what is this little Santoshi? Then I removed the gap, Alpa Santoshi, one word I typed. Then it said unhappy. Alpa Santoshi means unhappy. Alpa Santoshi means somebody who is happy with minimum, little things. Right? Contented. Somebody who is contented. Small things, somebody is happy, we call Alpa Santoshi. But ultimately, that Google Guru translated as Alpa Santoshi means unhappy. Not unhappy. The man is contented. The man is happy. The individual happy. So, there is a word, I think. There is a Danish word. Hugge, I think. Yeah. Hugo. So, actually, ultimately, I found the word. Hugo is the word. In a Danish word, actually, they use this in Scandinavian countries. That means, actually, it's a cozy and comfortable. Cozy, comfortable means somebody who feels life cozy and comfortable with the minimum things. Not that you have so many things, that's why you are happy. No, minimum things, they are happy. So probably I think that is the word for this Alpa Santoshi. Like the God actually is all merciful. A little sadhana will immensely please him. That is the advantage that we have in this Kali Yuga to win the grace of the Lord. He knows our bondage, He knows our responsibilities, He knows how weak we are, how much sadhana we can do, also the Lord knows. So He is ever ready to shower His grace and give a helping hand to us. He is ready to handhold us. The only thing is, are we interested to be led by the Lord? So whatever the minimum that is required to do, if we do, we will be able to win the grace of the Lord. We shall stop here for today. We shall meditate for 5 minutes before we disperse.
Om